Hi, Domenica here from easysewingforbeginners.com. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I make unique fabric labels at home. I've done a lot of research to find the most washable and durable method out there, so if you give it a go, let me know down in the comments below how you go with it. Okay, and towards the end, I'm going to also show you a little hack that I use for making unique one-of-a-kind labels as well. Okay, so let's get going. Okay, so to make your own fabric labels, you will need heat transfer paper, and I'm using the gloss kind, and you need to make sure it's suitable for inkjet printers as well. You need a piece of wax paper or baking paper works just as well, I've found. I'll be using cotton tape or twill tape, but you can use satin ribbon or gross grain ribbon as well if you want. You need a pair of scissors, you will need your iron. You will also need a heat-proof surface. I'm just using an iron pan from the kitchen, and I've got a tea towel to put over the top of that. You will also need your computer with a publishing program. I'll be just using Microsoft Word, and you also need your inkjet printer. Okay, so the first thing you'll need to do is set up your labels in your publishing program. So like I said, I'm just using Microsoft Word here on my Mac. Now, one important thing that you need to remember is before you go to print, you need to either flip your labels horizontally within the document. Okay, I find when I do that though, I tend to have a few issues here and there. So what I like to do is I like to use my printer settings. So I go into print, and for me it's in the layout option. If you're on a Windows machine, it may be in a different spot, so you might have to search around for it, but it should be there. So I will need to flip horizontally, okay, and that will ensure that my labels are printed back to front, and you'll see why we need to do that in a little bit. Okay, so before I hit print, I'll need to make sure that I've put my heat transfer paper into my printer, so I'll go and do that now. Okay, so now I'm ready to put my heat transfer paper into my inkjet printer to be printed on. Now I'm using the gloss type paper, so I need to make sure that my printer is going to print onto the non-glossy side for this paper. Now I've done a bit of testing, and I know that my paper needs to be facing down in this printer. Now with my other printer, it actually feeds from the top and needs to be facing me. So it might be just a matter of doing some testing just to make sure that you put the paper in the right way. So, but you need to remember that you want to print on the non-glossy side for this type of inkjet transfer paper. Okay, so now I'm ready to make sure my image is flipped and hit print. Okay, so now that we've got our heat transfer paper ready to go in the printer, I've got my image ready to be flipped horizontally, I'm ready to hit print. Here we go. Okay, so here you can see all our labels have been flipped, so they've all come out backwards. I'm going to leave this for about a minute or so to dry, and then we're ready to cut them up and get on with the next step. Okay, so now we're ready to attach our heat transfer labels onto our cotton tape here. Now I've got my heat-proof surface, I've got my pan, I've got a tea towel over the top of it, and I've got my hot iron on a cotton setting. Okay, so I'm just going to cut one of my labels out here. I printed off, I made sure that there was some guidelines in it as well, just to make it easier for cutting the labels out. And I'm just going to trim a little bit of the excess off there. Straighten that up a bit. Okay, I'm just going to make sure that it will fit onto my tape, and it looks like it will fit just nicely. Okay, so with the printed side facing down on my cotton tape, I'm going to carefully press the label. So I like to start from the edge and then slowly work my way across. I probably hold it in one spot for about 3 to 4 seconds. And I'll just give it one last iron. Okay, now with the glossy heat transfer paper, you need to wait for your label and your fabric or your tape to completely cool before you remove the top cover. So I'm just going to wait a little bit longer before I peel that back. Okay, so now that feels fairly cool. So very carefully, I'm going to peel that top layer off. Okay, and there you can see the label has stuck onto the cotton tape quite nicely. Now one last thing, just to press the heat transfer into that cotton tape even more, you need to grab your wax paper and with the wax side down, just put it over the top of your label and just give it one good last press. Okay, and this will make it go into the cotton tape even more, and it will remove a little bit of the gloss as well, I found. Okay, and just carefully peel that off. Alright, there you have it. Now I think I had some marks on my wax paper which is transferred onto the label, unfortunately. But there you can see how the label has turned out nicely. You can just cut it down to size and then it's ready to sew into your sewing project. Now I found to save time with this whole process, I can cut one strip off at a time and I can iron them all onto my cotton tape just like this, and then when I need them I can cut them down to size and they're ready to go. So another thing I wanted to show you is sometimes I like to make custom one-off labels. So especially when I've made a little something for someone, I like to put their name on it, and I only want to make one of them. I don't want to make a whole sheet of them. So I'm just going to show you very quickly how I do that. Okay, so when I'm making my one-off labels, I like to set them up on my Word document, and then what I do is I print it off onto a piece of paper first, and making sure that I flip the image. So I'm just going to do that now. I'm going to layout and flip horizontally, and then I'm going to hit print. Okay, so here I've printed off my 2 custom labels just onto plain paper. So what I do next is just cut a small piece of the heat transfer paper, and with the shiny side down, I just grab some sticky tape and I stick it over the top of the printing. Okay, and then I pop it back into my printer, and for me it needs to be facing down, so we will print in exactly the same spot again. Okay, once it's in I can hit print. Okay, so once they're printed, you just need to cut them out. Now you have your custom printed labels ready to go through the process of putting them onto the cotton tape. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and you found it useful. Hit the thumbs up button Leave a comment down below if you have any questions. Don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Don't forget to check out the Easy Sewing for Beginners shop at www.easysewingforbeginners.com and click on the blue button at the top of the website to find all of my free easy sewing projects and how-to PDFs for download. If you'd like to say a little thank you by purchasing a $1 thank you edition of any of the PDFs, then that would be greatly appreciated as well. You'll also find the blue button at the top of the page on mobile devices as well. So don't forget to click the thumbs up button if you like this video, leave a comment down below, and if you want more easy sewing projects and how-to videos, then hit the big red subscribe button right there on your screen. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Happy sewing!